Okay, let's start. I guess it's better in English, or maybe it's hard to see, but can you raise your hand if you do not speak German? Okay, at least I see one hand. This is enough. So it will be in English then. So welcome to the third code.talks Commerce, hosted by About You Cloud and Spryker. We are very, very happy to have you here. I think we have more than 600 people that attend this conference, which is, I think, a very, very big number. We have more than 70 talks throughout these 2 days, so which is also very, very exciting. And I have the pleasure to have some kind of an opening keynote and maybe help set the mood a little bit for these 2 days. My name is Boris. I'm the CEO of Spryker Systems, and I would like to start with some organizational things. So this is the floor plan. Number one, it's this building here. So all the talks that we have will be in this cinema. So you can check out the website. There is a very nice program, so you can see which talk is in which room. Number two is the second part of this building on the other side of the floor. There is no wardrobe anymore. It was shifted here into this building, so it's basically downstairs where the toilets are. But something even more important is there. It's the food corner and the party tonight. So use the opportunity, grab your food, especially the lunch. It will be served in the other building. You cannot organize a conference like this without having sponsors who help and enable this. So I would like to thank all the sponsors that you can see here on the slide for supporting this format, for helping out, for making sure that we have such a nice location, that we have good food, that we have a lot of very interesting speakers. So thank you very much to all sponsors. And of course, very, very important, there is a lot to win. It's a very fun conference. It's a technology conference, so we need prizes. So the confgames.com is a game, so you all have your badges, and there should be like a pin, like a black pin on your badges. Use this pin, so if you step by the booths, all the people and all the companies who exhibit here, they have questions that you can answer, and the more you answer, the more points you get. And at some point, you might start getting and winning very, very nice prizes that have been sponsored by the companies that you can see in the bottom. I would really like to highlight 4 out of them. It's Cool Stuff, Smarto, eWheel Motion, and Geschenke.de, who have contributed a lot of these prizes. And so thank you very much to these 4 companies. Thank you very much to all the companies. And as you can see, you can win cameras, you can win wristles, you can win even Alexa Echo Dots, etc., etc. So I think it's definitely worth trying. So step by, answer the questions, and take home whatever you can carry. So talking about prizes that you can win, also would like to highlight one thing. We as Spryker, we also contribute some Echo devices. So there will be a very nice hackathon later today, 3 p.m. in Cinema 8. So especially for all the coders, all the developers, engineers here in the room, I think it will be very fun. You can build an Alexa skill integrated with the Spryker Commerce OS within 60 minutes. And if you really make it in this time, you can basically win the Echo Dot and take it away with you. So now about the content for these 2 days. I was very, very excited to read through the program this morning because all the exciting things, I think, that drive our industry have been there. So we will have talks about methodology, we will have talks about APIs, we will have talks about machine learning, about voice, about bots, about technology. We'll have some interesting panels. So, and I think this is very, very important because everyone here in this room, so we all work in this technology space, and we have basically to deal with whatever comes next. And to set a little bit the mood for these 2 days, I decided to grab a slogan that we use within Spryker, and it's basically innovate or die. And it sounds a little bit harsh, but it's not. It's basically the truth. So if you look at the industry, This is what I think drives us a lot, and I just picked a simple chart. Then you will see that just within 15 years, the top 5 companies worldwide, measured by market cap, have been completely replaced. So we are now in an era where the biggest companies in the world are basically technology companies and not oil-producing banks, also oil-producing companies, big retailers, or banks anymore. And this accelerates a lot. So companies come, companies die. And they die because they do not innovate. They die because they do not build up technology skills. They die because they still treat technology as a cost center. I know this does not happen to you in your companies, of course, but this is, I think, something that really defines the industry. And when I say dying, it's really, really sad sometimes. So measured by, and if you look at the Fortune 500 companies, so it's not Mickey Mouse companies we are talking here, so the biggest companies in the world, or the biggest company in the US at least, then what you will see is that the pace of dying accelerates. So these companies, they die today within 15 years. So they just stay 15 years in this Fortune 500 ranking, and then they become irrelevant or become much, much smaller. And this was very, very different 60 years ago, where they stood like for 60 plus years. So it's really either you take care of your business, either you innovate or you die. And of course, you can also see this in commerce, because this is what this conference is about. So there are some very big names and some very big retail chains that are very well known in the US, and I mean, it's the same here in Germany, and we all read the news. And if you look at the amount of stores that are closed every year, or have been closed, especially in 2017, I think it's really, really shocking to see how fast even big retailers, and I think the most prominent example in the last 2 years most likely have been Toys R Us, are going out of business because they did not focus on the customer, because they did not focus on software, they did not focus on data, they focused on the physical products in the warehouse. And of course, there is also the other side of things. So it's not only that companies are dying fast, it's also that companies are created much, much faster. And I like this chart a lot, even though it's a little bit outdated, and I think but you get the point. So a company like WhatsApp, at the time of the acquisition made by Facebook, was worth 20 billion, and you can see how much revenue have been made with just a fraction of employees compared to a company to a traditional communications company like Vodafone was, for example. And it's really, and we have shown this slide last year, and I still think it's very, very relevant. And I really appreciate and like that we have a lot of talks that do focus on the customer and the customer touch points on the front ends, because there is a lot of opportunity, basically. So if you think about where your competitors are today, where most of the businesses that still invest in SEO or SEA try to attract customers, try to win customers, which touch points, it's still a lot desktop. It's sometimes mobile, but it's definitely not all the new touch points that we have out there. And it's really, it's not only a technology question, it's really a strategic question, how much you tackle these opportunities, how much you really jump into them. This can be voice, this can be bots, this can be something like AI, for example, which of course powers voice. And I want to really point out one thing, and we at Spryker are very excited about voice. We will have a couple of tracks and panels today, and we'll talk about this in more detail, because we really believe that, especially for B2C use cases, voice can be and will be the ultimate touch point going forward. I at home, I'm using Alexa a lot. My kids are using Alexa a lot, and if you look at this data, and I guess the majority of us here in the room are the Generation X, but there are these orange graphs for the millennials, basically, and you can see that, like, throughout the last 3-4 years, 10 million voice-enabled devices have been added in the US alone. So it's really accelerating, it's really coming, it's really in use. So we have more than 60 million people using voice in the US. We unfortunately don't have such accurate data in Germany, but we talk to a lot of companies who have voice-enabled cases already and who report that this drives a lot of customer engagement, that people are using it on a daily basis, a lot. And try to attend the voice and bot talks that we will have here. I think they will be very, very interesting. There is one thing behind voice, of course. So voice is also has to do a lot with AI. I have not seen that many talks, so maybe this is like a plan for next year to focus a little bit more on AI and machine learning and bring up more of these talks, because basically voice cannot work without it. AI, of course, still is in its infancy. It's not always working the way it should, but in some examples it really gives you some good use cases already. So let's try to focus on this one going forward. So just to close this session here, I think in a time where everything is changing and the pace of innovation, the pace of change basically accelerates, so we always tell our customers that there is no incentive to wait with anything. Nothing will be cheaper tomorrow. Your customer acquisition costs won't be cheaper. Potential acquisition targets won't be cheaper. Access to talent won't be cheaper. So things change, competition change. So try to really make use of it, try to attend these talks today, try to get as much of the best practices that are shared here, methodology-wise, technology-wise, as you can. And it's not only phones, it's not only cars, it's not only touch points that change, people also change sometimes. I think you all know this nice, friendly guy here. I think, and Alex opened the last year's, so my co-CEO Alex opened the last code.talks Congress last year, and he was talking a lot about Amazon and how this basically defines or drives our industry. So just as last slide, don't be busy with innovating. It's really about innovation or dying. Enjoy these 2 days, get a lot of excitement, get a lot of experience and new motivation from these 2 days, and have fun. Thank you very much.